I just climbed the fixed lines on Denali and I'm standing on the ridge above 14 Camp. I'm super tired after being on the mountain for 15 days, but I'm also filled with awe from what's right in front of me. I'm above the clouds, the sun is shining, and the world really does feel like it's standing still. I'm in one of the most beautiful places imaginable, and I got there with months of training, flights, my own two legs, and also some help from the team. I'm Gabriella. This is Women in Wild Places, a show about women who find strength, clarity, and identity in the outdoors and what those wild places teach us. For me, the outdoors has always been a part of my life since I was a little kid. I grew up spending hours playing around in creeks looking for frogs. I'm an only child, in case you can't tell. Camping in the Adirondacks with my dad. And as I grew older, I started to take part in longer term trips like backpacking out west. And eventually, I became a naturalist and a kayak guide in Alaska. I've worked and traveled solo in Patagonia, Costa Rica. Once I started to quote unquote grow up, I joined the workforce, but made sure to always balance my normal life with expeditions and being outside in nature, taking off for a month or two at a time to do things like climb Denali or lead a private trip down the Grand Canyon. But enough about me. I just wanted to give some background so that you could get a sense for who I am and why I made this podcast. I've been really inspired to make this community to highlight stories of women who center their lives around the outdoors and to inspire others to get out there and do the same. It's not about bragging rights, it's about the moments between all the photos that you see. So when things are hard or funny or life-changing. Being in the outdoors brings about a real sense of life force. It's what we're supposed to do. We are of nature, so it's our nature to be immersed in it. It inspires us, it creates growth. So it's my goal to create a community that gives people the confidence to pursue the outdoors no matter where they are in their lives, and to also highlight the amazing, incredible stories of other women that do the same. So here's a little bit about what you can expect in this season. You'll get some honest stories from women who guide, climb, parent, and build careers in outdoor spaces, or who immerse themselves in the outdoors and balance that with a regular life. We'll talk about confidence, community, and what it's like to balance ambition with adventure. And we'll get lessons that you can apply to your own life. So whether your wild is on a huge mountain like Denali or just getting out on your local trail. As a new mother, it's also important to me to highlight how you can get outside with a baby and how you can make sure to balance the things that are really important to you along with the obligations and necessities of everyday life. Now, let me jump into a little clip of a story of my own. So, 19% of climbers who climb Denali are women. And I am going to tell you this is Denali, also known as Mount McKinley, but it is Denali on Athabascan land. In 2023, I climbed Denali, or most of it. A little backstory there is that I have been in love with Alaska my whole life. When I was in college, I applied for a special internship in Homer, Alaska, and I got it. That was my first time going to Alaska, and it changed me. The scenery, the people, just being out there in the wild, living life in a way that felt really authentic to me. And ever since then, I haven't stopped going back. I set my sights on Denali, even though I hadn't done a big mountain like that before, but I just felt like it was something that I was extremely drawn to. So I had always had this goal in mind. I went back to Alaska after I graduated college, spent the summer kayak guiding, made a ton of wonderful friends and people that I still consider family at this point in my life. Once I met my now fiance, the first thing that we talked about was Denali. He had climbed it before. I had always wanted to. And our very first trip was going to Alaska. Specifically, we went to Talkeetna to do the USIC cross-country ski race, tons of fun. And this was in 2022. And we went to Homer in March, and it was so nice that we were even able to get out across the bay to go kayaking. We knew that we wanted to do Denali, so we got a group together, initiated by my partner who has done a lot of big peaks before. So I had never done a big mountain like Denali before. I had done a training course on Denali I did with Alaska Mountaineering School in 2021 on the Pika Glacier. So I had familiarity. I've been an outdoor climber. So I had a lot of familiarity with kind of being in this type of environment. So as I said, 19% of climbers on Denali are women. That means 81% of the people on Denali are not women. So you can tell that it's definitely a little more male dominated. And that did change my experience of how it was for me to prepare for the trip, to train for the trip, and to be on the trip. We had a group of 6. There were actually 2 women. Since this was a private expedition run by my partner, we didn't have guides because my partner and our group had enough knowledge that we could do this on our own. But that said, I was definitely feeling intimidated by being on the mountain, mostly with quite strong men, wanting to make sure that my physical capabilities did not prevent anyone from summiting. I wanted to make sure my physical abilities didn't cause an issue that made it so the rest of our trip had to make some kind of accommodations for me. So I had this, I guess, fear for quite a while before the trip. And it caused me to do a lot of training, a lot of training. I did a lot of weighted hikes. I had stuffed my pack full of water bottles, etc. I followed a training course from the Uphill Athlete. They have a Denali and big mountain training course that I followed. I also had a coach that helped to give me some ideas for training. A lot of weight training, a lot of endurance zone 2 training. I was spending hours. And guess what? A lot of the guys that were going to go on our trip, they weren't training. And it's because they have more of a natural strength. And I needed to really put time in to get to this place. And it was really important for me to do this. Probably some of this overtraining was due to a little anxiety that I had about just making sure things were going well. That was part of my preparation. I wanted to make sure I was as physically fit as I could be. Another thing that was part of my training was collecting all the gear. There's a lot of shit that you need to climb a big mountain, and it's not cheap. Think of the pink tax for ladies. Guess what? A lot of the mountaineering stuff out there for big peaks, if 81% of the people on one of these peaks in particular are men, there's not as many things, as many items of gear for women, especially a shorter woman. I had to do so much digging around to find stuff, like the right jacket that would fit me as being a petite woman. I couldn't find female size puffy pants. I had to do so much research to finally find something. I had to get mountaineering boots, especially made, the La Sportiva boots, because they don't really have them laying around in a small size. Like, if you're a man with a typical male size shoe, you can probably just order them online. I couldn't do that. I had to order them months in advance and hope that they fit, because once they came pretty much right in time, I had no choice but to use them. So I definitely had to do some scrambling in terms of getting the right gear, and every piece of gear on a trip like this matters. So I know what it's like to be the woman in this situation, trying to prepare in a way that's a little bit different than my male counterparts. And I definitely felt a little bit, I would say, unique in the situation I was experiencing in the prep compared to our other buddies on the trip that were going. Of course, they had to collect all their gear too. They had to source stuff. One of our friends is extremely tall, so he experienced something similar, but in the opposite direction. And then just being on the trip, I really had to dig deep emotionally. I had times where I felt like I couldn't do it anymore, self-doubt, just a lot of questioning myself. Like, what am I doing on this mountain? I don't belong here. Who the F do I think I am that I can do something like this? I remember specifically one day, so on Denali, you carry sleds. You carry stuff in your pack. Your pack is quite heavy, and you also have a sled that's attached to you, and you're dragging it in the snow, and it contains a lot of group gear, food. You're living on the mountain for roughly 21 days. You need to bring everything with you. You can't run to the store. You are being dropped off onto this very remote place from a little airplane, and you have to make do with what you have. So it's a fair amount of stuff, even though you scrutinize everything that you're bringing with you. And the gear can be quite heavy. The percentage body weight also for a woman doing this, it's a little higher, right? If I'm carrying 50 pounds, that's going to be heavier to me than my male counterpart carrying 50 pounds, right? That's a higher percentage of my body weight. So one day I remember we had gone up this extremely steep section. I was just out of gas, like collapsed basically on this hill, needed help to carry some of my gear higher up. And we got to this section on Denali at 12,000 feet. And I was truly like, what the F did I think that I was doing? Why did I think that I could do this? Just kind of typical self doubt thing. I had a lot of encouragement from my team around me, everyone just making it very clear that I did belong there, that I could do it, like, had faith in me. It meant a lot for those people to have that faith in me, when I didn't have it in myself. And later, I remember actually talking and debriefing after this whole experience with the men on my trip, and a lot of them had this feeling at different points as well. They maybe just weren't verbalizing it the same way I was. So that was really eye-opening for me too, thinking that I'm the only person who feels like I can't do this. And having that mental challenge in the outdoors, I think is something really common, and it's something that I wanna talk about in Women in Wild Places, is that it's really normal to have these self-doubts, but it's what do you do when you have them? How do you overcome this very common experience of wondering, can you do it? Should you do it? And persevering in spite of that, building confidence in yourself, because when you work on your body, you work on your strength to accomplish these things. You also need to work on your mental state. And as me, a yoga teacher, I still need to work on this every single day. But by doing so, I've been able to accomplish things that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So, this is just a little snippet of my experience on Denali, but it's just a theme of something that I want to talk about on this podcast. Like what it means to actually get out there to do something that makes you feel a little uncomfortable at first, and how you can actually get so much out of that. I would not have had that experience of standing on the ridge in complete awe of what was before me if I didn't put myself in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. It's not the same as having your creature comforts and sitting on your couch and being able to grab food out of the fridge. That's nice too. We all like having that. But what is it like when you take yourself out of your comfort zone and really throw yourself into something, into this world that we live in? We are all so connected to our devices, myself included. But what is it like when you literally touch grass, when you put yourself outside, you hear the sounds, you remember why we are here? And this is just some of the stuff I want to talk about on Women in Wild Places. So if you've ever stood at a crossroads or wondered what you're capable of, this is for you. If you want to try to get outside more, this is for you. If you want to think about how to balance family life, motherhood with the outdoors, this is for you. If you want to hear badass stories from women doing cool shit outside, this is for you. So, we want to hear from you. Trail Dispatch. If you have a story or a topic you'd like to share, send a voice note to womeninwildplaces@gmail.com for a chance to be featured. We have so many awesome episodes coming up, and a lot of women. I'm so excited to share their story. Can't wait. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you out there.